What is the accountability then that goes into that? Is it words, or is there like, okay, this is the consequence?
So it's interesting, as a Division III school, in the off season, I don't have any real contact time with them on the court. So everything that they do is strictly voluntary. All I can do is, say the gym is available for them to get in. We do say in our program, accountability is love, love is accountability. So if I love you, I'm gonna hold you accountable. If you love me, you're gonna hold me accountable. And so the goal is really to hopefully encourage that level of accountability from players to players and coaches to players. In this sense, it's words, but there will be at some point, as we shift into in-season work and I can make things mandatory, there will be consequence for that. But I also here's the thing too, and you guys know this, while the work in the off season is not mandatory at the Division III level, your playing time is not mandatory either. And we can all say that coaches don't know. We see everything. My captains know. And so it's just all right, we'll see what cream rises to the top come October 15th. And we have a program, we don't duck smoke. Dudes that duck smoke, they don't last long here. And I think part of that is because we bring in so many transfers and we've got a dog eat dog type mentality. And we want to, competitiveness is one of our core values. And so if you're scared to compete for your job, you're scared to compete against the man next to you, your teammate next to you, you're just not built for it. Not for our program, at least. A fable about fulfilling your dreams and reaching your destiny. I think it's a lot about mindfulness and just being content. So I'm actually looking forward to that. One of the things too, random, I've been logging out of my Twitter and Instagram at night. And so it's been cutting down my screen time significantly. I find it so fulfilling to not have to go into my social media.
You actually physically log out? You don't just close that, you actually log out?
I log out from the app, log out. So I have to log back in, and it cuts down my time significantly.
What's your screen time at now?
I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
I'd have to look. I average 12 hours a day. Ungodly.
I mean, you live on your phone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also texting a lot, but
So that's.
I got that's a great idea. I got mine the other day, and I'm kind of I'm not 12. I mean, I'll
tell you what I was.
I was down 23% this past week, and it was at 5 something.
Let's see here.
Boys, I don't check my screen time percentages.
I'm down 17%. I'm at 8 hours. Daily average 8 hours. I'm down 17%.
Wow.
See, my screen time has definitely gone up.
Today I'm at 6 hours.
See, my screen time, Sean, has definitely gone up, and this is why. One, when I got sick, there you go. I was on it. 2, I'm picking up a new hobby, chess, and I've been playing chess on my phone. So
how have you been liking that?
I love it. Now I've moved on from playing the beginner computer bots, and now I'm playing the intermediate, and I'm just getting smoked. So
were you smoking the beginners?
Oh, I was. I mean, I was playing fast. I need to start playing slower if I'm going to play these intermediate guys, so I can actually get some strategy together instead of just quick strategy like checkers.
See, I don't understand the strategies of it, and I was playing chess on the airplane, and it wasn't great. I kept getting beat. And I could just get frustrated. Well, I just like being good at things, but I understand it's a process. No, that's like golf. I hated golf, and now I'm getting better at it.
There's this app, and I'll try to show. So do you know how to play?
Yes.
Chess. Okay. So there was this app, and it's literally called the chess app, and it just walked me through how to play. It gave me 12 lessons per thing, and walked me through how to play. So I don't know how to play now. Now I'm not any good, but if I take my time, I'm decent. Intermediate level, but bottom fringe intermediate. But
that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay, because you're just gonna keep raising the bar. You change your best every day.
See,
that's an elite mentality.
Thank you, Sean.
What I'm hearing here is a perfect segue into the podcast, because we're talking about chess, and a lot of people try to think they look at basketball and they think that it's checkers, but yeah, sometimes you got to keep it simple. But you're playing chess out there. Sometimes you got to think about the next move. You got to think about the next move.
That is a heck of a segue.
That's basketball. So
not even the next move. It's like the next move.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. You got to be thinking about that when it comes to basketball. So
correct. You come for the king, you best not miss, Asa.
You come at the king, you best not miss. My man, Omar Little. Oh my goodness. All right, with that being said, I'm going to introduce our guest on the show today. We have Sean Westerlund. He is the head coach at Bryn Athyn, right outside of Philadelphia, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right outside of Philadelphia, man. Sean, it's been great to have you on the show today. Let's talk about a little bit, I guess, how we got here. We had the privilege of, hanging out with you down in the Final Four last weekend. So, man, how was that your first Final Four experience? Tell us about your whole experience and just give us a recap of the Final Four.
For sure. Well, I think the highlight is meeting you, Ace, and Nate. I thought that might have been the highlight, making those connections. And I think it's really cool how basketball brings people together, although that's not why we're friends. It was my first Final Four. It was my second time down in New Orleans. And, I love the city of New Orleans. It's such a great time. I thought the whole experience of the Final Four was really neat, just to be able to make relationships. I think we talked down there that, like, one of the things that we all struggle with about our industry is how transactional the industry can be, where we're transformational people. Mm-hmm. And so, like, to be able to make 2 transformational relationships with you guys was a really cool part of my trip.
Man, you said it right there. So let's just start with that: transactional versus transformational. Man, what's the difference? How do you navigate that in a day-to-day coaching life? How do you do that?
And have you read Inside Out Coaching? That's the next question.
For sure. So I have read Inside Out Coaching, and I think too, like, everything in our world is about the transaction. Everything's about the win. Everything's about, like, what can we get? Like, naturally, we are selfish people. Like, that's what we are born as, is like just having that self desire. And one of the things that, I like to tell my guys is, I ask them a question: have you ever met anyone that's gone poor from giving? And they'll always say, no, coach, we haven't. Right. And you never will. And so I think if we have that mentality in our relationships, it's like, how can we bring value to others? How can we help others? We can naturally transform them. And, like, for me, I'm a big person about, like, having a why and a purpose. And so I believe my why is to impact, inspire lives through transformational relationships so that we can create a better world. And I think the only way that you can have a transformational relationship is that actually getting to know the person, actually having an interest in them, and, wanting to get to know them. And so that's a big driver in my coaching philosophy. I think it has to be today in the coaching world, in the portal world, because I think now that so many guys want to explore the grass is greener. And I love that, because they should, right? Because as coaches, aren't we doing that? And so, like, for us, it allows us to tap into our process and tap into our relationships and, really breed that love, breed that loyalty, breed that authenticity. And I think that's what makes it so much fun to be in this era of college basketball, to be in a transformational industry, even though everything tells us it should be transactional.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's crazy to hear you say stuff like that, because we got to learn, Nate and I got to learn a little bit of your story down in New Orleans. Tell us about your story, and then kind of how your philosophy developed through your story, right? Because your story isn't, it's not it's a little different.
Pretty non-traditional. Yeah. So I played 1 year of college basketball. I played 4 years of college soccer and 2 years of college baseball. I was an all-region soccer and baseball player at Lancaster Bible. Had a lot of fun. I really loved my basketball experience too. But for me, I felt like I was going to get more out of my college soccer and baseball career. And I thought that made more sense for me to focus on those 2 sports. I have an identical twin brother who knew he wanted to coach from the time he was 13 years old. And so he got blessed with a varsity head coaching job at 19 years old at a small school named Hartford Christian, Darlington, Maryland. And so he's like, Sean, I want you to work with my point guards. I said, Rich, there's absolutely no way I'm going to do that. I have no desire to coach. He said, Sean, just give me a day. I said, all right, cool. I'll give you a day. That day turned into 6 years of that school, 3 years as the head assistant, and then 3 years as the head coach. And at first, it was an opportunity for me to, like, continue to be competitive. And then it flipped for me. It flipped for me from year 1 to year 2. And it started being more about the kids and seeing and watching them grow and seeing their joy when that light bulb moment happened. And it's like, man, like that feeling is so intoxicating. I'll tell people all the time, I get more reward and I get more enjoyment, more fulfillment from seeing my guys succeed and seeing them experience those highs of competition than I ever did from any of the achievements, any of the highs that I got when I was an athlete. And so we coached high school basketball for 3 years from our sophomore to senior year. I was commuting it was about like an hour, 10-minute drive every day. So we get all our classes done in the morning, and then we drive down for the afternoon, monitor study hall for 2 hours and have practice for 2 hours. And then we make our way back. So basically from 1:30 to 7:30, 8:30, we'd be down at Hartford Christian or making our way back to Lancaster Bible. And then once I graduated college, I had the job lined up. I was already accepted to the Howard County Police Academy. I wanted to.
I did not know.
He didn't tell us that part.
So I had a nice paying job ready for me. I wanted to be an FBI agent. So I graduated college when I was 21. You couldn't be an FBI agent until you're 23. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do time in the local police department. I was cool. I was ready to go. And I had the opportunity to coach at Hartford Christian as the head coach for $1,500. I told my pops, I was like, Pop, I'm a bet on myself. I'm a coach high school basketball. He said, in the clean language, he said, you're an effing idiot. And I said, I appreciate you. He's like, I'm not going to help you out. I was like, I don't need to. Yeah. I'm going to make it work. And so from there, I was commuting 350 miles a day to coach high school basketball because I was living in the middle called Howard County, and I was commuting to Frederick County, which is in the west. And then I'd go all the way back north to Hartford County, and then I'd come right back down to Howard County. So I did that for 3 years, commuting 350 miles a day to coach high school basketball. It was absolutely amazing. We continued to build. We continued to do some amazing things, but I always had the desire to try and coach at the highest level. And there was an opportunity at Hood College in Frederick, Maryland. Well, that would significantly cut my commute down from 350 miles to 100 miles. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, my girlfriend, my now wife, realized I had a lot more to me than just my earning potential. Yeah. And so she loved me through it all. And I ended up getting the job at Hood College, and I was there for 4 years, and we did some amazing things there. And I'll be honest, like getting to Hood was like an eye-opening experience for me because I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. Like what guy wouldn't when you're 24 years old and all you've done is won championships? Yeah. Right. And like, I didn't have the perspective outside of my fishbowl. And I get to college and I'm like, there's so much that I didn't know, like so much. And that's when I was so grateful for my boss, Chad Dickman, because I think a great leader really empowers his people, and they don't define roles by what you can't do. They define roles by what they can do. And while I wasn't great with X's and O's initially, he defined it by like the stuff that I was really good at. So I was really good at leadership development. I was really good with social media marketing. I was really good with recruiting and relationships. So he allowed me to really dive into those things. And he got me up to speed with X's and O's. And I think Chad Dickman is one of the best X's and O's guys in the country. I really do. Like, he does some really creative stuff. And so we went from a mid-level MAC program to the preseason #1 in 4 years. We actually, it's so great. This is their first year back since I left because of COVID, and they just won the MAC championship. Our guy Mason Wang was second team All-American. So I'm so freaking happy for Chad, for their entire staff, for the guys to be able to win that championship. And after 1920, I told Chad, I was like, I want to try and get my own job. I always had the goal to be a head coach by the time I was 30, and the job at Bryn Athyn opened up. And I didn't really know much about Bryn Athyn when I applied. I had no idea it was a Christian school. I had no idea that it was the smallest Division III in the nation. I did know it was outside of Philadelphia because my wife said that if I was going to take another job, there are a few things that she required. It had to be more money than Hood, and had to be in a big city because she wasn't going to live in a small town. My wife is from the island of Corsica, which is off the south of France, but the only American cities that she's lived in since she's moved over here has been New York City, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore. So that tells you my wife is a city girl. And and so we were able to, I applied, and, I was able to, everything was through Zoom. So I never stepped foot on campus before accepting the job. And, I got the opportunity to get the job at Bryn Athyn, and it's been absolutely amazing experience. We just finished year 1 of competition, and we did some amazing things. We're doing some amazing things. We broke a bunch of records. Our guys are playing meaningful basketball late into the season for the first time in a long time. And we've completely flipped our program's identity. And we went from the worst offensive team to the number 1 offensive team in the conference. We're top 10 in the nation in every single pressing stat. So I think the future is really bright, and I couldn't be more blessed to be in the position I'm in. So that's a little bit about my story in a nutshell.
Golly, dude,
that's incredible. And I think a lot of people talk about how if you coach high school basketball, it's the end. If you want to make that jump, it can't happen. And we've actually seen over the past 5-10 years, really the last 5 years, you've seen guys like Bucky McMillan, you've seen Nate Oates all of a sudden make the climb. But people don't realize that, like, Coach Beeline, right, was a high school basketball coach at first.
Correct.
Now it took him a little while, right? But so you don't see the immediate jump too often. So first off, that's awesome. So this is my question. Now that was a little bit, but my question is this. While you were the head coach at this small school, right, what were you able to learn going into an assistant role at a Division II college?
For sure. So I think for me, because I was an assistant under my brother, it prepared me well. Like, it prepared me really well to be an effective assistant at the college level. As a head coach, I'll just say, like, you don't know the burdens of being a head coach until you're a head coach. And I didn't realize that when I was an assistant for my brother and I became a head coach. I think for me, that the big thing that I learned about at Hartford Christian was, really remaining true to your values and the importance of keeping a locker room happy and managing personalities. And I think that's like super prevalent now in college basketball. We had our team was very different than what the school was used to. Like, we were really competitive. We really went out to all of Hartford County to get our guys rather than one specific area. And, our guys really thrived in that. And so we took a lot of the process I had at Hartford Christian, I've adapted at Hood College, and I've adapted at Bryn Athyn College, especially like the academic monitoring and the personal development piece. Because I think if we're just trying to teach basketball, we're missing the mark. I tell my recruits when they're considering Bryn Athyn that it's probably going to be the hardest thing that you do until you get married, until you have a child. And it's probably going to be the most fulfilling thing that you do until you get married, until you have a child. But it's so worth it, because you're going to know that you have, 15 other brothers with you in this, and you're going to have 3 coaches with you in this, and we're all connected, right? And connection is the greatest gift we've ever been given, Nate and Ace. Like that is like, I really truly believe that connection is the greatest gift we've ever been given. And so I think like that's one of the biggest lessons that I have learned as a high school coach. And I've really tried to adapt that to my college style. And like, here's the thing too, like high school basketball, college basketball, it's still basketball. And so like, while, the
still dealing with
caliber
people.
of the athlete that you're coaching might be a little bit different. The commitment level might be a little bit different. It's still basketball.
Yeah.
100.
Asa, ask one. I got one right after you. So
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Keep rolling.
All right. This is going back a little bit. You're talking about how, and I'm really throwing it back now. But you mentioned it in your story, or maybe it was in the introduction. But you talked about how you go to the portal, right?
Yeah,
like you
for sure.
you
All
live
the
in the
time.
portal. We don't. So like
Yep.
just two different styles, like contrasting styles. Asa, you guys do both.
Yep.
So I guess my question is, when I'm an outsider looking in at a Division III school and I'm hearing that you guys are going into the portal, there seems to be some reservations in my head about how do you guys go to the portal, if that makes sense. So I guess my question is this: how do you go to the portal? One, because you're talking about like NAIA kids, Division I, Division II kids, but there's also at the Division III level, there is that academic requirement gap that a lot of people do not know about. So I was wondering if you could just touch on that.
Yeah. So I think for us, whenever we're going into the portal and we're exploring transfers, like we have 8 transfers slated to be on our roster next year. Once we're done recruiting our class, it'll probably be 10 transfers on our roster. And I think when we talk about like going into that transfer market, going into the portal, it's really about helping these guys understand value, helping them be seen and to be heard and to be loved. It doesn't mean that their last situation didn't see them, didn't value them, didn't love them, but there's a reason why they're in the portal. And for a lot of these guys, I have relationships with them. And so most of the guys that we have gotten transfers from, I've had a either direct or indirect relationship to them. And so it's a lot easier to recruit those guys.
You probably
just
tried to
because
recruit
of
them at some point before they were transferring, wherever they were.
Correct. Yeah. Because part of the reason why they went there is because they told me no, which is totally fine. And I'm okay to being told no. Like, look, fellas, we're in relationships.
Yeah.
Nate, you and I are married. We're told no all the time. All right. Ooh. So it's not going to hurt my feelings to be told no. Right.
Especially when your wife is pregnant and you know
all
that
I ask
too.
Is just transparency, right? Just, hey, I'm a sensitive dude. I'm easy to love. Just be transparent with me. Right. And so when I talk to the transfers and exploring the portal, that's what we really try and do is just show what value that we have. We're very specific about the guys that we target, right? Like, you have to know who you are. We know what our program is and we know what it isn't. And so we're not going to try and seek out just like the top end talent just because they're talented. Yeah. Like, I've done that before and we did not have great success when we just wanted to try and get talent, because ultimately, if that talent doesn't fit who you are, doesn't fit your culture. And I know people say culture all the time, but it is a real thing. Man, and we have a very clear and defined culture, and some dudes just do not fit it. That does not make them bad dudes. That does not make them bad players. It just means that we're not the right spot for them. So let's go ahead and try and find them the best spot for them, and let us bring in the guys that need to be in our culture. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as like the academic side of things, there is a requirement. And we do a great job of trying to package those guys and also trying to identify guys that would be successful at our institution. I also have certain rules of who I will recruit based off their GPA, because I know based off their GPA at college and at high school if they're going to be successful at our institution, just based off of like the history that I have with our program, with our guys. So I also, if I find out that they're like a 2.5, yeah, that's not going to work. Like, you got to be at if you're a college kid, you got to be anywhere. Like, you're cool as a college kid if you can get a 2.7. As a high schooler, depending on the type of school you come from, it'll be anywhere between a 2.7 to a 3.3 that we would like to see you at. Obviously, a 4.0 student's ideal. Like, that's every coach's dream.
No kidding. No worries in the classroom.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is like, I just don't want to have to. I don't have to keep getting academic alerts. Like, I want to get a sign in my office that says, go to class, do your homework, show up to practice on time, don't turn over the ball. Those are the 4. If you can do those 4 things. Oh, and check the group chat. Text them back in the group chat.
But then you got to get a 6, turn the other team over. I mean, you just said you were top 10 in the nation in turnover mark. So like,
but see, yes, absolutely. But we want to try and control the controllables, right? So if we believe in our process, if we work hard, we're gonna be able to do that.
I love it.
We don't necessarily control the other team, but we do control our process.
Yeah, I love it.
Man, Nate, Casey said it to us all the time, and it's kind of, Sean, what you were alluding to. Do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it.
Yes.
If it's a simple rule to live by.
If you do that, you're going to eliminate 90% of stress from your life, especially as a college athlete. If you just do what you're supposed to do when you are supposed to do it. And
it's an interesting thing that at 17 to 23 years old that we do not necessarily always figure that out. But like, once you get older, it's like, man, that's simple.
See, what's funny though is like, I look at them and what they did, like what they're doing right now is like going to class and doing your homework and just showing up every single day as very simple. And it was easy for me. It's not as easy for other people. And so it's like,
correct.
How do you get outside yourself? Not only look at it like through your lens, but like, how do you get into their shoes and be like, well, why are they doing this? Why are they?
I actually just had a conversation with one of my guys today. And so he's telling me like, Coach, I might have to miss class, but I got to work because I got to pay for something for my daughter. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, my man, I really appreciate you communicating that to me because, ultimately I said, look, like now we got to have the conversation about like, what are our priorities?
Yeah.
I said, number one priority, which you cannot get rid of, is your daughter. Like, you're a father first, right? Like, you're a father before everything else. Yes. Okay. And then I was like, all right. So then after a father, well, like now you're a student. Okay. And so once you're a student, like that's the order, father, student. Okay. And then like it's basketball third. And, I said, the thing that we got to talk about is, if this was in season, are you going to try and miss class for work? And if that class was a game, would you be missing? He's like, no. I said, so you see, like, now we have a priority mix up. And I said, we can talk about it, and it's not in season, so it's okay. But we got to really make sure that we try and properly prioritize, and then we can balance. And I want to be able to help you balance those things. But because you communicated to me, now we can start working on a plan. So being able to understand and then identify certain ways of like how to make them successful. Because here's the thing, his situation is going to be different than one of my incoming freshman situation. The incoming freshman situation is going to be different than senior situation. That doesn't make any guy better or worse, right? It just means that we have to coach them and advise them differently. And that is totally okay. So let's give them all the best chance at success. And success is different for each person.
You said the main word, communication. Like, that's all. I think that's all three of us. Like, that's all we're asking. Like, if you got something going on, just communicate. And honestly, if you're upfront and honest with me to start, I'm going to hear your side before we can even go into a punishment or something like that. If you bring it up to me, we're not even going to deal with other stuff. Eventually, we might if it starts becoming a problem, obviously. But if you come to me and you got something hard and you're like, hey, coach, like, for instance, I had a kid that came into my office and was like, hey, coach, I'm just going to be honest with you. I haven't been going to class for the last week and a half. I've really been struggling with some stuff. It's like, dude, we're not talking about class then. What's going on with you? Like, what is going on right now? Like, let's care about these kids. And but you can't do that if they don't communicate with you.
It's hard to. And I think the best way for us as coaches to continue to do that is just continue to lead with love. Continue when they give us those opportunities to not overreact, to continue to make it a safe environment for them to share. Because there's so much of a stigma around being able to express your feelings and emotions already as a 17 to 23-year-old young man, that like it's hard. So when they do open up, like sometimes we have to die like some of our needs to like just whatever, and we just gotta listen. And then once we can listen and we can understand, all right, now we can come up with a plan to help them. So I totally agree.
Yeah, one of the best things you said, you talked about controlling the controllables. And Nate and I's first podcast when we were doing this thing, we used to do this thing called last minute advice. And the first thing I said was control what you can control. When it comes, I mean, that's the only thing you can do when it comes to classroom, on the court, off the court. Control exactly what you can control. And if you do that, then it comes back to things will work out. You're going to be all right. You're going to get in the right spots. If you just worry about the things that you can control, everything else does not matter at all.
I totally agree. I mean, it's just, life is very simple. And I think the more that you can give guys like little phrases to help them remember certain things, like I think that makes it stick just a little bit more. And like how that manifests itself 5, 10, 15 years down the road is pretty amazing stuff. Like, think about it. Like, you guys are probably 3 to 5 years removed from your college careers, and you're still remembering what Casey told you, right? I still remember the things that like my coach told me, like trust the process, winners find solutions, losers make excuses, like all these different like little tidbits. And I hope that my guys will take some of the things that I've shared with them and be able to apply those to their life and tell their teams and tell their, kids whenever they have kids and whatever else. So it's a really cool thing to see it come full circle.
You said something a little bit ago, and I'm bringing it back to like Nate just did. You said something about how you were driving 350 miles a day.
Yeah, holy cow!
Basketball, right? And
yes.
You said for $1,500. Is that correct?
Correct. I was in the red.
So I'm doing some math in my head. $1,500, 300 miles a day. Gas was probably, I don't know, $2.75, $3.20.
Yeah, thank goodness it wasn't $5 at the time.
Yeah,
thankfully. Sheesh.
What did you have another job? How did you manage to drive 350 miles a day to do that?
So I worked at a car dealership. I worked at this car dealership as a lot attendant, so I had flexible hours, and I would get in at 6 a.m. and I'd leave by 2 p.m. I had a 2005 Honda Civic hybrid. I went through 2 hybrid batteries. I put on 125,000 miles in 18 months before the car died on me.
Wait, you said how many miles?
125,000 miles in 18
months.
Yeah, so it was, but look, it was an opportunity for me to get better. It was an opportunity for me to like find my routine of just self-improvement, because those car rides right? Like I'm just by myself. I'm just in my thoughts. And so it allowed me to kind of perfect certain things, think through certain things, listen to podcasts, listen to, different interviews, YouTube videos. And so I'm grateful for that. And like, here's my thing too, is like, I don't say that story as like a badge of honor, because I think so many people are saying the grind. I think the grind's trash, right? Like it's just trash. Like your race is your race. And that was part of my race, and that's okay. It's not going to be a part of everyone's race. It doesn't make me want it more or less than anyone else. It's just a part of my story. And, I'm grateful for it because it allowed me to really cut my teeth in a situation where, if I was at a bigger school, if I was at a different situation, some of the mistakes I made, some of the pressures would have been different. So I'm just grateful that I had that opportunity. Like I'm really, really fortunate.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is that you said is you got to listen to podcasts and everything. Asa, I don't know about you, but I actually love driving. Like when I'm on the road recruiting and I'm just driving, I actually love it because I get to think like nobody's talking. Or I can call people and actually learn from them or catch up with people. But then at the same time, it's like, if not, like I can either listen to music, listen to podcasts, or shut it all off and just think. It's actually very refreshing.
Yo, that's the great. Yeah, it's like you said. I'm sitting here wondering how the heck this dude is spending $300. Is paying for $350 a gas.
You're doing math.
At the same time, like you said, like that's a perfect time for him to learn as he's getting to his spot. Like that's a perfect time to do something productive. You can always find a time to do something productive.
Yes,
the way you're going.
When my commute shortened to 20 miles round trip, it's very different. Like I have all these podcasts I've been listening to for the last 8 years. I can't even get through all of them in the day because like my commute's different. So I listen to my podcast at 2 times speed now, so I can absorb more content as best as I can.
Yeah, we're at 1.5. I think.
Yeah, we're at 1.5 times.
Yeah, we haven't made it to 2. That's a special.
That's all right. Hey, boys, come on over. Just a little half tire.
I'll try.
Oh my God.
Actually, I have tried. I'm not there yet. I'm just not there yet. It's okay to say no, right?
It's absolutely okay.
Sean, one of the things I wanted to ask you, obviously, how long is the Bryn Athyn program? Not long, right? I mean, y'all are.
No, we've only been. This was year 8 for us, so we're a young program.
So, I mean, tell us some of the trials and tribulations you go through being the head man of a newer program like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Justin Baxter, the coach before me, did an excellent job of like laying the foundation. I think he would say that he probably would have wanted to be a bit more successful. But at the same time, too, when you're building a program from scratch, it's just a different beast. And so inheriting a program that has not experienced a ton of winning, that is young, it has its unique challenges on top of the fact that we're the smallest Division III school in the nation. We had some unique challenges, but at the same time, too, right? Like you don't define things by what you don't have, you define things by what you do have. We're in a beautiful location, right? Like I think the Bryn Athyn Cathedral might be one of the most beautiful buildings in North America. On top of that, our location just outside of Philly is a prime spot. And I think too, like we have a committed administration that wants us to win, that backs us financially and gives us a lot of resources to be successful. And so, the challenges are like, I always tell people, I tell the 3 reasons why people say yes. I tell them 3 reasons why people say no. The 3 reasons why people say no, and I would say these are our biggest challenges, is number 1, some kids don't want to go to school with a religious obligation, right? Bryn Athyn accepts anyone, right? I tell people all the time, we got 3 denominations on my team. We got Protestant, we got Catholic, we got Hoopers. They were like, Hoopers? I was like, dudes have never cracked the door of church, but they're here to hoop, and they're here to just learn more about their spirituality. And I think for Bryn Athyn, what I love about their approach to spirituality is not that they want to shove it down your throat. They want you to explore your own spirituality, right? They don't care what you believe. They just want you to understand what you believe and to be able to back it up. And I think that exploration of yourself is so powerful. So the fact that Bryn Athyn already does that and does it in such a unique way, I think is really powerful. So that's the number 1 reason why people tell us no, is like, hey, I just don't know if I want to do that. Totally fine. That's fair. Reason number 2 is our school size, right? Like we're the smallest Division III in the nation. So, when you are going to school with 500 kids, it's different, right? A lot of people, they want to go to a big campus. That's not us, right? And again, that leans into us. It gives us an opportunity to lean into connections, the greatest gift you ever been given, right? You're not a name on a page. You're not a number. People know you. They know where you're at. They know where you're from. They know what your goals are at. They know that you're a men's basketball player. And so we really lean into that. And we say, look, we're also in the 5th largest U.S. market in Philadelphia. So if you want to be able to meet people, you're in one of the biggest cities in America.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful cities in America.
Yeah.
And it's right there. And the amount of schools around us is amazing. So what you're getting here is a quality degree, an opportunity to hoop, and the fact that you're going to be loved and you're going to be seen. And then the third reason why people say no to us, and it's a combination of things. We've never been good, right? So we have no tradition. So people will say that, hey, Bryn Athyn, you can't win there. We don't have great bleachers in our gym. And I always tell guys, if you're picking a school based off bleachers, you aren't going to make it here anyways, because I'm a mean cuss. And ultimately, like, if you're going to duck smoke and you don't want to hoop, like, you're not a hooper. I want hoopers. I want dudes that want to be, like, from the trenches and want to get better. And then some people don't want to be in Philadelphia, and that's totally okay too. Like, we know who we are. We know what we're not. And so I let people know right off rip, first conversation, why people say yes and why people say no. Because I want them to know from the very jump what we are. And some people like it. Some people don't like it. And that's okay with me.
That's the best thing, because as I've learned, the best answer besides a yes is a no. And my next question to you was going to be, what's your sales pitch, being such a young program, but you pretty much just laid it out right there.
Well, I would say that one of the things that I tell my guys that I recruit a lot, aside from like them being seen and valued, like, I'm using that term a lot because that's something that our guys feel like they're going to be loved. And when I ask them, hey, what are the 3 things I say the most? They'll tell you, Coach, you say, how are you? I appreciate you. And I love you. And that's what I want our program to be about, is to be intentional and to be about love. But when I talk to recruits, I tell them that there's 2 types of recruits in this world. There are torch lighters and torch carriers. Neither one is better or worse, right? A torch carrier, they're going to an established program that's done some winning, right? You're just building on top of a legacy, and that's a really powerful thing to do. At some point, right, Bryn Athyn's going to need torch carriers. But in this case, we need torch lighters. We need dudes that want to build. We need dudes that aren't afraid of making history. But we need dudes that want to light the path that's never been lit before. And when you're a torch lighter, there's dark times, right? Like this year, we went 7-18, right? We had 11 single-digit losses. Every single one of those losses gutted us. And we were young. We played 5 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and 2 juniors. That was our rotation. And they struggled with those single-digit losses. And what I told them was like, look, I told you guys from the very jump that you're torch lighters, and it's going to be tough. Okay? I don't even know who I can win with. I don't even know who I can lose with. Because guess what? It's going to get even darker, and we're going to be in the trenches together. But when you come out on the other side of it, and I want you guys to picture this, and I tell my guys all the time, shut your eyes, take a deep breath, and I want you to picture you climbing a ladder and cutting down a net and seeing your name, Jamal Kennedy Jr., Derek Ward Jr., Quinn Gilliard Jr., Anthony Burr, Jaron McCann. That's going to be on a banner as the first men's basketball championship team, the first team to go to the NCAA tournament, the first team to win an NCAA tournament game. Like, all those things they're going to happen. Like, I know, I believe it. And so once they understand that, right? And then just to put the little nail in the coffin, I tell them, hey, if I told you could be the first person to walk the moon, would you want to do it? And they're like, yeah, Coach. I was like, all right, well, now you have a chance to be Michael Jackson. We can moonwalk, because that's what you're going to have here.
There we go.
That's what we have here, right? And I think for us as a program, we do things a little bit different. We're unique. Our staff is young. I'm 30 years old, okay? And so, like, my ability to connect with certain recruits is going to just be different than a dude that's 55 years old. And that's no knock on the 55-year-old. It's just different. And when I get to be 55, I have to be more creative, and I have to think of ways of how I can connect with those dudes. We show a lot of love. Like, we are very much in person. Like, we see our recruits once a week in person. Anyone that's in our top 20, we see once a week. We text them every 3 to 5 days if they're in our top 20. If they're in our top 50, we text them every 7 to 10 days. They're hearing from me and an assistant. So in a 2-week span, they're going to hear from us 3 different times, and they're going to see us once. It's what we have to do to get our name out there, to show that we care and that we're intentional. And so we've brought in a lot of high caliber dudes, and then we'll see how it goes. But I think the future is really, really bright. We know, again, it's about defining who we are and defining what we're not. And that makes it so much more powerful for us as we go through this recruiting process and as we build this program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No doubt. No doubt.
That's good. Hey, and honestly, so you were talking earlier about like this is like, hey, I'm telling you who we are, and if you don't want to be here, that's fine. Like that's fine. I'm gonna be honest, and you sound the same way. I want guys that want to be at Lee, like want
Oh,
to be
absolutely.
like if you want to be at Lee, like so if you're hitting me up, you're like, hey, coach, I'm really interested in your program. Okay, now my eyes are like, I'm I'm listening. And now all of a sudden you tell me something about our program. Now you've got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's like, okay, you actually done your research. You actually care about Lee. You're actually interested in our program. So if I pour my time into you, it's like it's probably gonna get reciprocated. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'll talk to the people that may send one word replies or maybe don't respond, but I'm gonna reciprocate that conversation as well.
Oh, I call those dudes out. If they give me a
Yep.
one-word reply, they don't text me, they leave me on red, I will text and be like, look, I don't have a problem being left on red. I've been left on red plenty of times in my life, but I'm a college head coach and I'm reaching out to you directly and you don't have the common courtesy just to give me a conversation or just to tell me that you're not interested. I said, I know you're not interested and that's okay, but I'm telling you that's a trash behavior and it's not going to work in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
some guys respond to it and they're like, coach, I'm sorry. Another guy's like, that's cool, coach. Bet. That's fine. You weren't going to make it here anyways because like we are so direct. And if you have a problem with my directness, then like, again, you're not going to be able to make it here. And I think too, like it's part of the reason, like you said, like you want to be here. We don't recruit guys that play. We don't recruit any senior that plays AAU in April. We will not do it.
Mm-hmm.
So any high school kid that's playing AAU right now, even if they're available, we won't recruit them because what that tells me is that they had options before us that they probably had a lot of coaches reached out to them and they didn't like them. They wanted to flirt with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we have a guy that we've been recruiting for 8 months and now they're starting to play AAU in April, and I tell them this, it's like, look, if you have a girlfriend, and I ask them like, do you have a girlfriend? Most of them say, yeah, coach, I got a girlfriend. I said, would you be cool if your girlfriend went out on a date with your best friend? And they're like, nah, coach, that's not cool. I said, so when you play AAU in April, that's what you're doing. You're going out on dates with my friends. I said, I don't like that. Right. I said, I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I'm going to walk away from the relationship because I value myself. Right. I want you to value me as much as I value you. Okay. And it's one thing to be like winding down your process and not playing. Right. And just working out. It's another thing to be actively out there on dating apps. Right. Like that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? It would crush my soul if my wife was on a dating app. You know what I mean? So like that's how I word it to them. And that typically gets through to them. But like if they're whining, if they're like stringing it out, like we all know, like we've been doing this for so long, we can kind of tell if a guy's interested or not by this time of year.
Yeah, man, that's perfect because that's a real world example that they can relate to because that's how you got to get. I mean, that's a perfect example for how you have to bring it back around. Like you got to put that nail in that coffin. You have to relate it to a way that they can grasp it and understand it because they're not thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about that. We weren't. We had to learn. We had to learn.
Absolutely. Correct. Yeah. And so if we can like make it again the real world example that can like they can tie to their own history because guess what, they probably have had a friend that has had a girlfriend go out on a date with another friend.
Yep.
Okay. And they're like, man, like that's not a good look. So that's what we try and do. We are extremely direct with our approach. I got that from my boss Chad Dickman because Chad Dickman is a very direct person.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah. Very direct. Love him to death.
Dude, I love it, and I'm sure at times, or at least early on, maybe there were some. But at the end of the day, it's better. There's nothing lingering. There's no question. It's just boom, 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 boom.
Well, I look at the high school kids that we've brought in my. I guess this is my second full recruiting cycle. I got hired in July 1, 2020 was my first day at Bryn Athyn. We had COVID, and then this was my first year of competition. And I look at the high school guys, every single high school guy that I got were from relationships. And even like one of the high school kids we got this year, my assistant coach played with his brother. So it's like it's a connected relationship. And so what we are finding at Bryn Athyn at this point, and this will shift as we get better. Some high school kids, they just don't want to consider it, which is why we go the transfer route, because in the transfer route, they're not as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about the college experience. Like they know exactly what's important. And not to say that high school kids don't know what's important, but it's hard to know what's important until you live it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's part of the reason too why we go with transfers a lot, to like circle that back to the original conversation with like our roster makeup.
Yeah. That's a perfect point, man. That's a perfect point. And then, I mean, back to the real world, you're making a real world example because it's about the kids and you got to get them ready for the real world.
Correct.
So
Correct. Because like the ball's going to stop rolling.
Yeah. The ball is not going to bounce the same one day. It's not.
Correct. And I say so much, like, if you want to be a champion on the court, you got to be a champion off the court.
Yeah.
Right. Everything translates. Your habits translate.
Yep.
If you're a bad teammate, you're going to be a bad employee. You're going to be a bad friend.
Yep.
If you're selfish on the basketball court, you're going to be selfish in other areas of your life. I truly believe that. Maybe I'm wrong, and I could be wrong, but in my experience, that is what I have found.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, no doubt. All right, Sean. Well, I'll tell you what. When we get to the end of the show, we like to do these little rapid fire questions. You cool with doing some rapid fire questions with us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Bet. Here we go. Last technical.
I actually got one at Penn State Abington. My man Vasilis was the ref. He's ref quite a few of my games. I scared him, running up on him, yelling travel, and he gave me a technical. He apologized to me game and the next game that he ref, and he said he felt bad about doing it. I was like, it's all good, my man. Just give me the benefit of the doubt next time.
There we go. Oh, that's it. All right. So you have been kicked out of a game?
No. I hope not. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah. All right. You ever done the basketball on a 10-foot rim?
No, sir. God bless him with the 5'9" height. Not quite the vertical to get there. But that's okay. I understand who I am. I understand who I'm not. But give me 9.5. All right. A little bouncy.
Could you grab it on 10?
Yes. Yes, I could.
Okay. Yeah. Ever get a tennis ball or volleyball or anything down?
No, I could not.
Yeah.
I could not.
I got you.
At this point, I feel like I'm too old to get up there.
It's way past me. All right. Okay. You are up 3 at the end of a game. They have the last shot. Do you foul or let it play out?
Foul. Absolutely foul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
I just believe for me that it makes the most sense to take that opportunity of a 3 away from them.
Yep.
I just come from that school. Coach Dickman did it a ton. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think that there are analytics that show it's better to foul, but I'd have to find that article where I took that article from. But I would foul.
Yeah.
All right, question. Because now I'm going to go off of it because this is what goes in my head.
Yep.
All right. Let's say you are I know you're going to have some clever way of spinning this back on me, but I'm asking it anyways. Let's say that you were coaching. It was year 1. Your team is one of the worst offensive rebounding teams. See ya, Asa. One of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country.
Yep.
You're playing one of the best or one of the worst defensive rebounding teams. You're playing one of the best offensive rebounding teams.
For sure.
Does that change? And they're not a good 3-point shooting team.
I don't think it changes for me because I just believe in my process. Right. Okay. And so I think that I think that there's context to it, but I also think that like free throw rebounding is it's a tough thing to do. Like we don't have to do anything outside, just tip it. I think also it depends on clock too, but if you're talking about like the final seconds, I would give a foul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 1 second left, you're counting.
Yeah. I'd foul for sure with 1 second. Anything like 5 seconds or under, I'd probably foul.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Next one. Are you leaving your best player in with 2 fouls in the first half?
Yes.
Yeah. Why?
Hey, you got to ride the dogs. You got to trust them.
Yeah.
Right. We can't have a culture of trust and connectivity and then not trust them.
There we go.
I told you, you're going to come with these snippets.
Oh, I know. All right.
That's so good.
Go for the tie. Go for the win.
Are we home or away?
Away.
We go for the win.
Go for the win. Yeah.
Yep. Take their throats and get on the bus. Have a new crib. Give us the keys.
Oh, I love it. All right. Okay. This is a good one for you because I know you have your sideline style that you like to go with. Professional or casual on the sideline?
Oh, I'm casual all day. I'm casual all day. My guys, they hate.
But you're not just casual. Like you're not just throwing on, a quarter. You're doing it right.
Honestly,
you're like business casual.
I hope Zara sees this. They need to sponsor me. Right? Give me a deal with Zara. My whole drove is Zara. right? But my fits are cool. Like it's not casual. I'm not wearing a sweatsuit.
Right. You
like business casual. Like
like
I'm going out on a date.
I got some cool shirts.
Yeah.
I got some quarter zips. I got some nice chinos, some dress joggers, right? Like put a little flavor to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, sneak game got to be strong.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. All right. Okay. Early morning practice or evening or night practice?
Early morning. We go 6:45 to 9. Year one, we went when we were just practicing. We went 5:30 to 7:30. So I'm an early morning guy. Get it out of the way. And here's the reason why. It sets them. So when you have a real job, you got to be up typically at 6 o'clock, 6:45 to get to work at 8. Mm-hmm. On top of that, right, you're going to have to take care of your kids out in the real world when you have a real job, right? Mm-hmm. And so let's start building those habits. On top of that, we have a rule: you cannot miss class, right? Mm-hmm. It's really hard to go back to sleep and miss class once you've just sweated for 2 hours. So we're always going to be early morning.
Yeah. I love it. I
like that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I really like the last part. Because like we've had coaches come on and I understand both sides completely, but we've had coaches come on and say, well, you're not playing games in the morning. It's like, well, I completely understand that. But I've also heard but I haven't heard that specific example used for the real world as well. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Really good.
Yeah. I just think it translates better to like just forming life-changing habits. Isn't that what college is about? In a perfect world, we like to practice when we play. Honestly though, like, it won't affect my guys. Like it doesn't matter to them when we play. Like we don't play better at certain times of the evening, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Well, and you got to think about it too. It's like, you also want to go home and see your daughter.
That's a big thing too. Is like just setting up where like, I want my day done. Like I want my nights at home. I want to be able to kiss my daughter goodnight. I want to be able to have dinner with her. I want to be able to read her a bedtime story. And I think too, seeing that balance and letting them see that you can be successful and still be a good dad and still be a good husband and all those things are really important. Because like if we can't say connection, we can't say family, we can't say love, if I'm not taking care of my own home, that doesn't mean I won't make mistakes. I own my mistakes. Yeah. But like it's very important for them to see those healthy relationships modeled, because I want them to be the best fathers in the world. I want them to be rock stars as husbands, as partners. And that starts with, and that's not putting me on a pedestal, but like it has to start with me because I'm the leader of the program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. That's amazing, man. All right. Okay. If you were not coaching basketball, what would you be doing?
I would say one of two things. I'd either be an FBI agent or I'd be a lawyer.
Yeah. So. The FBI thing is crazy. I didn't know that. That's a wild career path to, change. I mean, just
I did an internship with them too. It was pretty cool. Like it was, I was all geared up. Like I that was like my dream for a long time.
All right, then we got to talk about it for just a couple seconds. What made you don't have to go into too crazy of a story, but what made you want to go into the FBI? Because me personally, mine was because I watched Criminal Minds growing up, just for however long. I was like, this stuff's awesome.
So I had an opportunity my freshman year to do a shadow day at the Baltimore Fieldhouse, and it was like a youth program or whatever. And I did I always loved history and whatnot. And my grandfather actually used to deliver the paper for J. Edgar Hoover, which is pretty nuts. Cool. He was actually was able to ride in the limo with J. Edgar Hoover. He had so many crazy stories. It was awesome. My grandpa was a pretty cool dude. But being able to do that my freshman year was like, man, I like this. Like I would love to just try and explore that career path. And so that's pretty much it. Now then I started getting into Criminal Minds and like those crime shows were a big hit. Yeah. So that obviously fed the obsession. Mm-hmm. But it was that program my freshman year at the Baltimore Fieldhouse, freshman year of high school. So it was 2005.
2005. Wow.
That's incredible, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. What's your handicap in golf?
Not good. I mean, you guys played me down in New Orleans. I was so, hey, let me get a little bit of birdie juice in me, and I might have a better chance at hitting some pins. But it's not great. It's a work in progress.
Man, hey, that was a fun round, man. I'm so glad we did that.
That's a nice course. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I was mad that there was 12 par threes, but yeah, it was a nice course. $55 for 12 par threes. That's crazy.
Yeah, the price is a little outlandish. Although, that's a normal price up here in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, for a normal course, I'm cool with that. But there was 12 par threes.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the greens were bad. It wasn't like
The course was cool.
No, it's a good course.
But if I'm paying $55, I mean, I want to take my driver out, 5 or 6 times maybe. I didn't plan on 100. Whatever. That was my only beef with the whole thing. All right, okay, 2 more, Sean. We're gonna let you out of here. Should every team make the conference tournament?
I think it depends on the conference. I'm a proponent for our conference because it would separate us, right? So I think it really just depends. I don't believe it devalues the regular season like most coaches think. I think that it allows more teams to play meaningful basketball late in the regular season. So I'm a proponent of each team making the conference tournament.
Gotcha. Okay. All right,
That's
last one.
Has your view for that always been the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yes. It has been
since
I've been at
question.
I've been at Hood, even when we were like the preseason number 1, I think it makes for more competitive basketball. And I think that's the goal. Like, it's about the student experience, right? So student experience, and here's the thing too, if you're a 1 seed, you get beat by the 8 seed, all right, that's just basketball. Like, I know the conferences want their best team represented in the NCAA tournament, and I totally get that. The chances of that happening where the 8 seed or the 7 seed or the 6 seed make the NCAA tournament is very slim to none. So let the kids rock.
Also, I would go off that too, is you're getting the hottest team, which is the best team, which is St. Peter's. Not the best team in your conference, Iona, or even Monmouth. You're getting St. Peter's. Correct. And what do they do? So
he coached his tail off in that tournament. He really did.
Yeah, exactly. So now you're giving an opportunity for these players to be on a national stage. You're giving an opportunity for these schools, and let's say it too for the coach. Now he's at Seton Hall, so and he doesn't do that if they don't.
He had that job before. He probably had. They said he had that job before.
No way he gets that job at 16 and 13. There's no way he makes the jump from St. Peter's.
I don't know. I just heard that people said he had that job before. Also, yeah.
I know he played there. He was an assistant coach there. He's been an assistant coach a lot of places. I get it, but still at the same time to go to the Big East from.
It might have potentially added a 0 to the end of that check.
True. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe a couple of them.
Yeah, that's what he did. All right, Sean. Last one, my favorite one: LeBron or Jordan?
Oh, that's a Jordan. It's Jordan all day. I appreciate LeBron's excellence. I think Jordan's 1, LeBron is 2.
Yeah.
I think everyone's argument for LeBron is about his stats and everything. It's a longevity thing.
Yeah.
I think that Jordan was clear and far away the best amongst his peers. Just dominated them. And I think every step of the way, there have been times where LeBron has been clear the number 1, but he's been challenged a couple of different times. And I just think that it's really hard to not appreciate Jordan's dominance and greatness through his career. So that's my opinion.
Fair enough.
Are you a LeBron guy?
Yes. Am I a LeBron? Yeah. Is the sky blue?
See, you're just a young boy. It's okay. Let's to the old head here.
Be that.
God, he might be older than you.
Yeah, we don't know how old.
Ace about 43. You got a couple grandkids.
I'm done with you, Nate. I'm done with you. Oh, Sean, man, that's all we got for you today, dog. It was a pleasure to have you on. Great to talk to you. Pleasure to meet you a couple weeks ago down at the Final Four. Great hanging out with you. Your story is incredible. I can't wait for people to hear this. And again, thank you for your time. Where can people find you on social media, Instagram, Twitter, whatever?
Absolutely. And, I really appreciate you guys inviting me onto the podcast. I appreciate the relationship that we have begun to develop, and I know it's going to be lifelong. And I'm just truly appreciative of the platform that you all gave me to share a little bit about my story and whatnot. If people want to connect with me, my Twitter and Instagram is @Coach Sean West. And then if they want to email me, sean.westerlund@brynathyn.edu. I'm happy to connect with any coach, any player, whatever it is. I do my very best to respond to everyone. And again, if you get one thing out of this, aside from that, Asa and Nate are top of the line. People.
Yep. Sure, man, for sure. Well, man, again, appreciate you. You can find myself on Instagram at the Ace of Spades with a Z on the end. You can find Nathan on Twitter at Coach Nate Moran. You can find myself on Twitter at Coach Ace of Spades. You can find Mind of a Coach on Instagram at Mind of a Coach. At Mind of a Coach, and then you can find us on. Yeah, what is it? I botched that. I totally.
At Mind of a Coach Pod.
At Mind of a Coach Pod on Twitter, right? And then on
Yes.
on Instagram, we're at Mind of a Coach. Sorry.
Mind
Yeah,
of
been
a
a while, fellas. Been a while, ladies and gentlemen. Haven't done it. That's all from memory. Sean, again, appreciate you, man. Thank you, dog. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, appreciate you, boys. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sons and daughters of the Dharma, good people get down. Free candy for the masses, sweet with stereo sound. Like the Vedas and the Gitas in the breakbeat tune. Automator on the fader, corner shop with the boom. Slapping hands with my brothers as we rise to the sun. Les enfants, feel the rhythm of the rhymes you stone. Same on appel, baby doll, for your pleasure tonight. Here's the gender with the sweets, we be like salt on ice. Check it. Here's the gender with the sweets, we be like salt on ice. Check it. And the Candy Man is back.